Yeah,
That's how they win.
Well, there's
the
a
game.
benefit in that. There's a benefit in saying shocking things. There really is.
That's how you sell a fight. I mean, that really is how you sell a fight.
Yeah.
If you really want to be a huge star, you want to sell the fight.
That is the
or
last
you have
thing.
to back it up like Tony, because Tony doesn't sell fights. He sells, like, he doesn't hype up fights. He sells fights with violence, and that's beautiful, man. Tony Ferguson is my favorite fighter, by the way. You already know
He's
that.
coming up too.
I love
Got a
Tony.
good fight.
I was gonna say because I love both Khabib and Tony, because they're both amazing fighters. Khabib in his own way, Tony in his own way. But if Khabib were to lose, I wouldn't want it to be to anybody else but Tony, man, because Tony deserves that shit.
First of all,
Tony's a
I don't
bad
think anyone's
motherfucker.
going to beat Khabib.
You don't think so? I don't think so either. I don't think Tony's gonna win.
The person who I think has the best chance is probably Tony.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I mean,
I don't see it
Tony.
ever happening. But if someone told me, hey, it for sure happened to someone in the future, I go, it's fucking Tony, wasn't it?
I could see Khabib losing if he moved up to 170.
I think
There's
we
a lot
all-
of killers in 170.
I think we all want to see Khabib lose, so we forget how good he is. It's the same thing
I
that
don't
John
wanna see
Jones is
him
going
lose.
through right now. Where, like, I think he's so good that they overly hype up the other guy so much
Yeah.
that I always find myself, even in the DC fights, because he's so good, I go, wait, DC can win. Dude, he's never going to beat him. And then now with Dominic Reyes, because he's undefeated, and I watch his highlights, and everyone's like, John Jones struggles with tall, lanky fighters, and this guy's a knockout artist. And I'm like, for a brief moment, I go, damn, Reyes could be the guy. And then I go, wait, I think Santos is a better fighter than Reyes.
Oh, Santos is a killer,
And
man.
Santos in my opinion, didn't win a round. He did shatter his knee and fight through a lot. Shattered multiple ligaments.
Santos had some
Was
great...
a beast. But he, in my opinion, didn't win a round. And
No.
so it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting tricked. I'm getting tricked right now. And so I
Selling
think,
the fight.
getting back to Khabib, I think that's the thing with Khabib, is people want him to lose so much that we start, when I think of Tony, I think of he's one of the biggest win streaks. Everyone he fights is bloodied up. But then I realize, like, nobody is Khabib, and I go, oh, that's right. What's the point in all these weapons if you're getting freaking bear hugged and you can't do any of them? And so I in that sense, I tend to lean towards Khabib, but I do get tricked by the promos, and I probably will get tricked by that promo's not even out yet. When it comes out, I'm going to get tricked because I love Tony Ferguson.
I can't remember the last time Khabib fought somebody who's as good at wrestling as him. Nobody is, really. But I can't remember the last time Khabib fought somebody who was an excellent wrestler.
Well,
right? Think about it.
Here's the thing: is his
Barbosa.
only round he's ever lost was to Conor. People
Yeah,
forget
but
that
he took
Conor
that-
did win a round.
Let's. I mean, this is not just the opinion. I mean, Khabib took that round off, right? Because he was boxing Conor.
And I'm not going to
Come on.
dispute that.
Because and the reason he did that, I think, is because of the success he
So
had in the
what's
second
what's
round.
the formula? If you who beats Khabib? Do you think
Who beats Khabib?
Because here's what happens, right? You in our brains we go, who's a good wrestler? Because Khabib, first of all, Khabib isn't a good wrestler, and he's Sambo, right?
Yeah,
So
Sambo.
yes, I get that. It's wrestling, but he doesn't have good submissions. He has decent submissions. Ferguson has way better jiu-jitsu than Khabib. So it's like, do we really want a wrestler? Because when we have two elite wrestlers, they tend to box, and we saw that in Damian Maia and Ben Askren.
Let's not forget, because this is one of the formulas to beat Khabib. The formula to beat Khabib is to submit him. You have to submit him. So that's the only formula. No, yeah, think about it.
Let me. Do you ever see his neck, dude? How do you even?
Did you
It's
see
gonna have
Poirier?
to be like a toe. Like if someone can get a toe hold and just like rip his toe off, maybe.
Did you ever see Poirier though? Did you see the Poirier versus Khabib fight?
Yes.
Poirier was this close to submitting Khabib. Let's
Yeah.
not. I mean, when I say this close, I mean this close, right? It wasn't that close.
Like for 15 seconds twice, he had an option to maybe submit him.
Surprising.
But he again didn't lose a round in that fight.
Yeah,
either.
no. So that's ridiculous, right? But for a moment, you could have thought this is the trick. You got to take his back and.
But is
and,
Poirier no
chokehold.
for submissions? It's like
No.
Do you
But
see my point?
But
Like,
he has good ground game.
I
mean,
get what
that's
you're
it was.
saying. So if someone that's not known for submissions almost submitted someone, what about someone who is known for submissions? But there's just so much more
Tony
that goes
might
into
do
it.
some weird shit. Look at Zabit. Zabit is the same kind of
Maybe
like,
he's the guy. No, here's
No,
the
they
thing.
would
So
never fight.
I get what you're saying, because if I were to give someone credit, it would be Ferguson. Because Ferguson's one of those guys that doesn't mind wrestling. He's weird in the way that, like, you know how, like, the winner of the fight is usually the person that dictates where the fight is, right?
Yeah.
That person usually wins. But with Ferguson, he's not always the dictator, but he doesn't care. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't mind being on his back. He doesn't mind being on top.
He
He doesn't mind
does.
standing up. He doesn't mind
And he
in clinch.
doesn't give up, man. He's that
His
guy.
cardio's never ending.
That
He has
guy will.
huge heart.
That guy will, and this is one of the only people that I think would actually do that. That guy would actually die in the ring, man. He won't give up. I don't think there's very many people who do that, right? There's very few people who would take the amount of damage that Tony does. No, I don't want to see that either. No, he's my favorite fighter, man.
Because
I
you
want to
won't.
see that.
Like
but
if it's
yeah, you
someone
won't
like
see it.
Khabib is ground and pounding you, they're gonna call it TKO.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's
or
the thing.
maybe
Yeah,
he'll
for sure.
submit you like he submitted Connor.
Yeah.
After he's ground and pounding you. So I don't think that'll ever happen. But I am excited for that fight. I can't help but root for
wait.
Tony. But
Yeah,
if I was
me
a
too.
betting man, I'd put it on Khabib.
Yeah.
If I'm a betting man, I'm going to put it on John Jones as much as they hype
Oh,
up
yeah,
Dominic
come on.
Reyes.
Yeah.
Who else is in that card? Do you remember?
Valentina
Shevchenko
Shevchenko.
is
I
fighting
would
some
never.
girl she's
I would
gonna beat.
never bet against her, man.
Unless
she
she's
was
fighting
fighting
Nunez.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, that's Nunez though. Nunez is a wrecking machine, man. Like,
Yeah.
look at all the stuff that she has been able to accomplish in such a
Do you
short
think she
time.
could beat Claressa Shields in a boxing match?
Definitely.
No.
Yeah.
In a boxing match? No.
Nunez is
Here's the
hands,
thing.
dude.
No,
Have you
dude,
seen her back? Her
I don't
back
care
is,
what anyone says. That's not how things work.
Do you think
Look
Cyborg?
how good of a boxer is Connor? Isn't that what he's known for?
Do you
Could he win
think?
a fight against Mayweather?
Do you think Cyborg could beat Claressa Shields? Cyborg is the champ currently
No,
in Bellator.
I don't think Cyborg beats
You don't think
Claressa
so?
Shields. In a boxing match, Claressa Shields beats both of them. Here's the thing: is
Maybe it's a
Claressa Shields is
stamina
not
problem.
trying to box her. She's actually training MMA. She was on. Did you see that? She did an interview a couple days ago where she said, "Hey, I'm training MMA. I'm gonna take my." She already has a plan. She's I'm taking my first MMA fight in a year. It won't be against Nunez. I'm gonna have 3 or 4 fights, and then I'll fight her. I'll fight her
That's
eventually.
stupid. It's very
No,
stupid.
but I respect it because here's the thing: the boxer's gonna win every time. They're talking about Masvidal versus Canelo. Canelo's gonna win. I don't
Yeah,
care. You
that-
do a guy. You go and fight a guy that only does one aspect of your sport. That's all he focuses on.
But that's not.
He's gonna win, man. But here, the other way around. When has it ever happened? Can you think of a boxer that went to MMA and was successful? James Toney got beat up by Randy Couture, right? He was
But
one of the most
all
famous
the
boxers.
fighters in MMA are boxers. They are boxers. They're not as
No, no, no,
sharp
no, no,
as
no.
regular boxers.
Who was a boxer that moved
Connor.
over to MMA?
Well, no,
But
Connor
he wasn't a
actually was a
boxer
boxer.
first.
Yeah, he was a boxer first, actually, not
I'm talking a
professional.
professional boxer. There's one person I know of. That's why I'm
It's
asking.
James Toney and
No,
there's more than
one
that.
person that I know of that was actually successful and was a champ. Can you name the one person that
Who was a
won
boxer?
a world title in boxing and then also
Holly Holm.
There you go.
She's the
It's the
only
only
one.
person.
Yes, and won it.
But that never
multiple
happens.
times.
So Claressa Shields wanting to do that is, I think it's amazing. She's young enough that she could do it. She's like 24, 25,
Yeah.
dude. She's already, I think she's an Olympic medalist. Dude, like, God, man, that girl is so talented. She could train for 3 years and still be getting into her prime and
yeah.
taking her first fight. That
I
girl
just
could be
don't
so
think-
good. She's already conquered boxing, man. I am so happy, and I'm glad she's doing it because she's one of the rare people that I think can do the same thing Holly Holm did and become a UFC champ. I think she could.
I think.
I don't
that
think
the
she'll beat
problem.
Nunez, but I think she could.
You don't think she could beat Nunez in
in
boxing?
an MMA
though?
match. I don't. I think Shields wins in a boxing match. For
But
sure.
how though? Because I
I don't
think
know.
The problem I
Yeah.
see, the only problem I see, and the reason I see Nunez losing is because of the amount of stamina it takes to be in a boxing match. It's 12 rounds, 3 minutes. Right, so that is a very, very long time as opposed to having a 5-minute round, 25-minute fight. That is a lot of times, like in boxing, for example, you hold you hold the other
For
person
like
and
3
they
seconds
they
and
break
then
you.
break you up.
In MMA, that's allowed. You can hold them against the cage.
So do
it
we-
burns up a lot of energy, but
do we
it's
both
not
agree
same to
that
break.
an MMA fight is harder than a boxing fight? Can we both agree on that?
Yeah. There, it's harder because of
There's a reason
the
there's only
possibility.
3 rounds in an
The
MMA
possibility
fight. 5
of
if
getting
you're a champ.
kicked, I think, is one of the biggest things.
or elbowed,
Yeah.
or Muay Thai kneed. Dude,
yeah, those things
choked
are
out.
huge.
dude, to take one aspect of fighting and to like compare it to
One single
UFC, which is like don't eye gouge, don't kick him in the nuts, don't do a 12-6 elbow. Like there's not a lot of rules, right?
And if you see it, people like what always surprises me about MMA in general and the toughness of the people is I've seen people like, let's think about Thiago Santos again. that guy was had what 2 or 3 torn ligaments in his leg,
And he didn't even like
fought
make a face like he was hurting. He was like,
that is ridiculous,
yeah,
man. Or
that
these
dude's a
people
beast, man.
that come out of a
Those
kimura,
Brazilians.
when they're in a kimura, right, and your
Mhm.
arm is getting folded to an unnatural position, and then you somehow get out of it and continue fighting and throwing fists. I mean, that's crazy, right? No boxer is ever gonna experience that. That's nuts.
Yeah, but I think someone like Claressa Shields who trains for a while can get really good at it. But I'm just saying that it's a different world. And it means the same thing both ways. If we can agree that she wouldn't last in a UFC fight, at least not right away, let's at least admit if Nunez, right now, maybe even giving her 6 months to train, which wouldn't happen, right?
Yeah,
they would probably give her 3 or 4, maybe 3.
It's a stamina
She
thing.
wouldn't beat her. She just wouldn't beat her. I'm sorry. I don't care who
I'm
says
pretty
what.
sure she could knock her out in the first few rounds.
I don't
Just
think so.
because, well,
Don't care who
here's
says
the
it.
fallacy, though.
We're talking about McGregor, who knocked out the #1 pound-for-pound fighter and Jose Aldo at the time in like a couple seconds, bro.
145 pounds, man.
I don't care what people say. You're talking about a guy that could do that in MMA, but couldn't even really rock Mayweather. Come on, it's a different world, man. Nunez would not be able to step into her world and do those things. The things she does in the UFC, she could not do. Did you see her last fight? She beat up Cyborg, who was probably the other person that I thought could maybe beat her, quicker than she beat up that last girl in her fight, Jermaine Durand. I mean, she started toying around with her, ended up taking it, I think, all the way to the third. I think it went to decision,
like
right?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like you see her do that to Cyborg and then turn around and do that. What are you going to do against a killer that only boxes and you're only allowed to box too? Claressa Shields wins that fight.
I see your point with that, and I think it's a stamina thing. Claressa Shields, if she can drag the fight into the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round, then Nunez would completely fade at that point, because she is a big, like powerful fighter, right? She got power, so she usually gets it done very quickly. Like you said, against Aranami, she didn't. So maybe at that end of that fight, she just didn't have the same amount of power. But the problem is that I believe that she has a lot more power than Claressa Shields from the start, right?
Yeah.
This is what happened, I think, with Conor McGregor and Cabo Cerrone, is that I think Conor McGregor has a lot more power off the start, and he overwhelmed Cerrone, and that was it, right? So I think Amanda Nunes can do that to Claressa Shields. I think she can go in there and just overwhelm her with her size and power, and then, I mean,
but if
like
you talked about the Conor McGregor fight, he didn't beat up Cowboy Cerrone with punches. He kicked him in the face. He shoulder bumped him and broke his nose. These are things you can't do in a boxing fight.
Yeah, but you can be explosive. You can literally go in there.
I could argue with you all day, man. I don't think Claressa Shields loses a boxing match against him. But I do think she would lose a fight against Nunez.
Who wins between Wilder and Fury?
I'm going to go... Dude, I cannot help but go for Fury.
Yeah. Well, he won the first fight. I think he did.
He won the first fight.
Although that knockout and stand up was a little iffy, because I think it was
really
10
close
seconds.
to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But if let's say it was 10 exactly and he made it, he wins that fight.
Yeah.
Because he for sure won the round.
Yeah.
I don't think Wilder gets any worse. I do think it's possible Fury does. So I'm scared for him. But as a fan watching it, I'm 100% going for Fury.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about.
But Wilder's no joke, dude. That guy's a
he can
beast,
punch.
man.
He can punch. Well,